This Rolex GMT-Master II with the Pepsi bezel is supposedly hard to get. It's not. Welcome back to Horological. So the Rolex 126710 BLRO, meaning blue and rouge, the two colours on the bezel. Yes, it's hard to get from the AD, but it's almost always available in the grey market if you are willing to pay the markup. The two cities that I personally know well in terms of watch market, Manchester and Glasgow. Within 10 minutes walk of the Rolex ADs in both cities, I can pick up one of these watches and have it on wrist within the hour. And that result of having one of these on wrist within the hour, you can do that on almost any day of the year in both of these cities. Now that tells a story. These watches, they're not hard to get, but they seem to be continuously funneled to the grey market before Rolex can get them into the hands of genuine watch customers, genuine people who are on the waiting list. A grey market that can quickly and effectively exchange cash for these watches in bulk capacity reliably time after time. That trumps calling individual clients who might say now's not a good time financially, or they may not be able to drop everything there and then to attend in person and go through the picking up ceremony at the Rolex AD for one of these watches. Analysed from a pure unemotional business perspective, offloading the most desirable pieces within hours of them arriving to a reliable buyer who either themselves or through low-key middlemen get the transactions done and the watches picked up. Even selling at market value, that reliable, quick monetisation pipeline enables the AD to convert watch deliveries in record time, no pun intended, and get the next delivery in at no short-term cash flow risk to themselves. They can even leverage the sale of less desirable pieces by offsetting with a high markup piece in a kind of like bundle deal. There are many more nuances to the setup than that, but that's a decent overview of the supplying logistics into the grey market system from my own personal observations. I went to Glasgow last week and I picked up my own personal Pepsi GMT from Safe Storage. I knew I would need cheering up this week. I had an eye surgery scheduled, hence why I'm wearing the Ray-Bans doing this video. Everything's went well, so in that respect it's absolutely fantastic. While I was in Glasgow, as I often do, I had a little stroll down Buchanan Street and then through the Argyle Arcade. This is the epicentre of watch culture in Glasgow. That's where all the boutiques are. There's Omega, Tag Heuer, Breitling. There's a big jewellery shop called Laing's that carries lots of different brands. At the top of Buchanan Street, there's my Rolex AD. So it's a fantastic place to go if you're into watches. And while I was walking through Argyle Arcade, that's a great place to go. A little bit like Hatton Garden in London, just on a smaller scale. And I actually seen a Hulk, I seen a 116610 LV, and it was for sale for £10,000. Now that represents a huge market drop for those watches. This was a slightly older model. It was a 2014 and it had been well worn, but to pick one of those watches up for that price compared to what they were going for even just a couple of years ago, that is a stunning drop in value. I've got my own Hulk in the collection as well, and I bought that well years before the pandemic, so I just ignore that spike in prices, and for me it's been quite a stable watch, and I wear mine anyway. So that whole investor piece, it doesn't come into play with me. I've got no garage queens in my collection. I would say they are getting very close to the very bottom of their depreciation curve. It's almost time to buy. If you're in the market to buy one of these watches, now would be the time to start making gentle inquiries and check prices out. Don't look online at Watchfinder and Chrono24. Don't do that. Go in person, speak to the jewellers. That's what I done, and I realised the price of this Hulk, absolutely amazing. And if you were a first time buyer of one of these watches, I would say it's now getting very close to the time to get into one of them. Now I just want to talk about homages to watches like this and the Submariners, plenty available out there. You can get ones from Steinhart, for example, and then there's a whole slew of AliExpress brands. I've actually got a Pagani GMT in my collection which homages this watch, and there's a whole story behind that, so I'll tell it here. I noticed a few years ago Jodie at Just One More Watch was doing a review on the Pagani GMT, and he had one in at a ceramic Pepsi bezel, and when he reviewed it he noticed the colour differentiation between red and blue. It was very jagged and it wasn't good quality at all, and it was actually mirroring the issues that Rolex were clearly having at the time, allegedly, with the Pepsi bezel themselves. And the solution Pagani came up with was quite interesting. They also produced the a Lunette Noir homage, which is, the black one, and a Batman Batgirl homage. You could get it in Oyster or Jubilee, so they covered both bases there. They kept those watches with ceramic because the chemical composition of those bezels and then baking them in the chemical process to split the colours for the Batman Batgirl, that's a lot easier than the Pepsi bezel. And the Lunette Noir is just a no-brainer. You're missing a couple of steps of the process and just baking that black ceramic. So Pagani's pragmatic solution to this problem was they just pulled all the ceramic bezels off these watches and scrapped them and stuck aluminium versions on, aluminium Pepsi bezels on a modern form factor GMT. Now that was something. These watches were only on sale for a short period of time, but the minute I noticed them for sale, I had to jump in one. I just had to get that in hand and check what that's like. If you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that aluminium Pepsi bezel, it goes back to my early days of my first mechanical watch, the SKX009. That is my favourite combination of bezel. I just had to get one of these. I ordered it as a novelty, and I love it. Now, as I mentioned just previously, the Pagani Aluminium Pepsi GMT, it was only available for a short time. It was as if Pagani went back to the drawing board and they worked through their manufacturing and production process problems, and once again, they're selling this watch, and it's again ceramic. Before Watches and Wonders 2025, Adrian Barker actually surfaced a video, and in that video, he mentioned that Rolex may release a 40mm maxi dial modern GMT Pepsi, but with a vintage aluminium bezel. What a release that would have been. But alas, we didn't get it. However, we did get a stunning green dial, green Cerachrome bezel GMT that effectively is the GMT Hulk, and that is an amazing watch. I've never had the opportunity to have one in hand and look at it, but I can't wait till I get the chance. I would love to add one to my collection in the future, but for the time being, those watches are basically unobtainium. I did reflect at the time when I seen that Adrian Barker video. That's exactly the reason that I bought this Pagani GMT with the aluminium Pepsi bezel, and it's a fantastic, quirky, unusual little homage watch to have in my collection. I've not worn it that much, once or twice, but just to have that and to behold it, if Rolex made this watch, I am sure it would fly off the shelves. Can you imagine it? Now, for those viewers who haven't clicked off to another Andrew Morgan video at the mere mention of a Pagani homage, he sometimes talks about them as well. Stay until the end and I'll give you a strong clue, a strong but homaged clue about my next historical deep dive video. Jacques Cousteau approves of this one, I can assure you. I have noticed going through my statistics on YouTube that I've got lots and lots of viewers, but not a lot of these are converting into subscribers. Once I reach 100 subscribers, I'm going to buy a top level lavalier microphone. And thanks to the constructive feedback regarding sound quality, I promise we will get it sorted. So let's talk about the recent release of the Tissot PRX 38mm, an excellent entry into their product catalogue, but very, very late to the party, unfortunately. They have lost the zeitgeist and momentum completely, and they have allowed the competition to effectively catch up. They had the lead with the PRX, and it's basically that lead has been eroded. I've also noticed that integrated bracelet sales are trending down the way now. It's had its moment and it's on the downward side of the curve. Again, Tissot, unfortunate timing. This watch should have been released 18 months ago. And I do root for Tissot. I've got a video up about Tissot and the synergy with Richard Mille. You could watch that one and you see my history with Tissot. And I really hope I eat my words and this watch becomes a good seller for Tissot. From the little bit of research I've managed this week, I could see that no pun intended, I could see that the Tissot PRX 38, it still has the lack of an easily regulatable movement, unfortunately. So I'll watch the sales for this watch quite closely, especially over the festive season, and we'll see how it does. Business decisions inside Swatch Group, they appear to be like doing a 3-point turn in an oil tanker, unless you're a mega and you've got a free pass to basically release a slew of watches every quarter. A watch collection swelling faster than a high springtime Severn moor. Another new Omega Speedmaster, this time the grey side of the moon. Oh, really? Ah, expect these to be readily available on the grey side of the watch market at 25 to 30% off a retail in January and February. Just tell Santa to hang tight and bring you a grey market gift voucher instead of the watch. And now for a quick update on my own personal watches, my Panerai 1661, it's now on the Officine Panerai teal blue rubber strap, and I've got an olive strap held in reserve in the strap bag. I'll maybe change that in the spring. The Seiko Pogue Speedtimer, it's still on that tan leather bison strap that I bought, and you can find out the exact reasons for that in my Seiko Pogue Houston We Have a Problem deep dive video, and it's all the better for it. I'm actually going to take recommendations in the comments for this video for a new bracelet for this watch. There was a few of you have commented to me about different companies, Long Island Watch, Uncle Straps, Strap Code, in conjunction with a bracelet for this watch. So hit me up in the comments with ideas. I will happily send out a G-Shock Solar Square to the best recommendation that I will buy in the spring for this watch and fit it, and we'll do a video for that on the channel. If I get multiple suggestions for the bracelet that I eventually pick to buy to fit to this watch, then I'll use a random generator and I'll get in touch to arrange how to get the watch to you, and we'll end the competition for this on the 1st of March. My Bulova Marine Star Precisionist, that's still on the silicone strap that I changed it onto for reasons outlined in my deep dive video on that particular giant killer of a watch. And lots of the watches in my collection they're on my Buy Me a Coffee page in my affiliates link section, along with straps, hardware and some storage solutions, and it's all things that I own and have used. I'll only add things to those lists when I've been living with it and using it. These are things that I buy and use myself, and I've made loads of mistakes buying stuff, so it's only the very best, the cream of the crop products that make it onto these lists. If you're looking for something for Christmas, for somebody special, you might find something on those affiliate links that you like, and I do get a small percentage of the sale. It's a very small percentage, but I do reinvest that back into the channel, hence the new lavalier microphone arriving imminently to improve this sound quality. And I would just like to say a big, massive thanks to all my subscribers so far. And if you're not subscribed already but watching this, why not? It's completely free. And sound quality is about to improve exponentially, so the DJI marketing department tells me. And remember, watch collecting isn't logical, but it is horological.